So frankincense is harvested in the arid lands of such as Oman, Somalia, Ethiopia, Sudan, and we specifically work with Oman's frankincense. So you'll have local Bedouin tribes who own the lands, and they would tap the trees at least twice a year. And each harvest season reflects the quality of the resins because you have one season which is the Kharif season, which is it actually means autumn in Arabic, and that's the time when you get the best frankincense seasons because of the rain, and this adds moisture to the trees. So this is the best time to obtain the frankincense. And then the local farmers, they would gather all the resins, put them into sacks, and then another merchant would sort them out, classify them according to local standards of grades 1, 2, and 3. Myself, when I purchased these bags, I would bring them back to London, and then we further sort them out and classify them thoroughly into 14 types of frankincense grades of the one specific species. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's really going into and understanding each frankincense and what they're about and what it does, and the vibrational frequency of each resin and how to use them, when to use them. So this knowledge is we have obtained by working with the actual resins itself.
This has been going on for thousands of years, hasn't it?
I mean, of course, frankincense has been traded. It's recorded back 7,000 years. The ancient book of Syriac talks about it. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, talks about it. So it's been documented well in history. The Roman Empire has used it. But of course, the most famous story is the story of baby Jesus Christ, who received the 3 gifts of frankincense, myrrh, and gold from the Magi.
Yeah.
And at this time of the year with Christmas, it's one of those traditions which is there. It's very good for us at this time of the year because of that specific Christmas story, the tradition of giving frankincense, myrrh, and gold.
And you've actually, I know that one of the products that you put together for Christmas is a frankincense and myrrh in a gold tin, which is a lovely idea. A great way of, a great gift to give. So then this has been going on for thousands of years. People have been gathering, they've been harvesting frankincense. It was incredibly important to civilizations throughout history.
Yes.
Now you're telling me that you're grading it into 14 different grades.
So I believe what we have started is something new. I don't feel or believe it's been done like this in the past 200, 300, 400 years at least. I'm not saying I'm the first to grade like this. Yeah. It's just that we haven't come across anybody in today's world where they have recognized, they're surprised to see the vast amounts of resins from one species. I'm talking about indigenous people from the land where I buy the resins from.
Yeah.
They are surprised.
Yeah.
So they would know about their own history of the frankincense. It's a national product. But to my surprise, it's not being graded like this. When we look at the frankincense trade, it's normally, the Catholic Church is a big consumer of frankincense. Yeah. Historically, it was the gift for the gods. So people would burn it just as it is, as a resin. But I'm sure someone in history may have decided to go through them. But if not, then I feel I'm definitely the first to bring it back. It's, this glorious resin back to this modern world. And if it wasn't separated like this, I don't think frankincense would get that recognition. We've sparked a huge interest in the resin because of the way it's been graded. Otherwise, it's just another frankincense grade.
So explain to us, what's the difference between the grades? I mean, what are you looking for?
So whilst I'm grading, I'm looking for ones which are pure medicinal grades of frankincense. And this medicine is the green frankincense. It is the most finest and rarest species of the Boswellia sacra grade. It's when it's consumed internally, it's very effective for illnesses such as cancers, or for women who would like to conceive, and there is some internal problems which prevent this. And at the same time, there's other grades such as the yellows and the royals, which are edible, but they differentiate from the green. The royal is rich in collagen, and this is very good for elasticity of the skin and youthfulness, and the yellow as a daily medicine. And then the others are more for meditation. You have ones which, such as the amber, it's for light meditation. And when we started to burn the orange frankincense, we realized there is a difference between the amber and the orange. So we discovered something new there.
So that's extraordinary. So out of that one, because there's more than one species of frankincense, isn't there? So you're talking about Boswellia sacra there,
Yes.
but there are, Boswellia is the overall species name.
Scientific name. So you have Boswellia papyrifera, Boswellia sacra, Boswellia serrata, Boswellia carteri, Boswellia frariana, Boswellia riviae. We're talking about at least about 26, 27, possibly even up to 50 species of frankincense.
Wow. And do they all grow in the same region?
No, so you have places kind of all connected. It's Southern Arabia, the North, East Africa. So these are countries such as Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Sudan, Oman, Yemen, and part of India also contain the frankincense.
Wow. So you reckon maybe up to about 50 species of this
Yes.
tree. And every species will presumably have a different application.
I mean, there is a generic attribute to all of the frankincense, which is it's a mood lifter, it creates positive energy, but it's calming. But when you go into each of the grades specifically, you will start to feel different vibrations from each one and feelings. And these feelings, it's as if the residents talk to me and they tell me what they're capable of doing, and then I pass this information on to other people. I mean,
love that
after all,
idea.
it was because in the first instance of me discovering frankincense, it actually chose me. And when I started to work with it and dream about it, it's all this information that started to be given. And it was like hidden knowledge. And there's a lot more knowledge which there is about frankincense, about the mysticism, its health. I see and believe that this ancient wonder, this medicine, is specifically and perfect for this time in life, in this moment of time, 2020 and moving forward, especially with what is going on around the world.
Yeah, I've certainly been much more attracted to using frankincense lately than I ever have been. And I've been using essential oils for, years. So this sense of something very big with frankincense, something very mystical, something very deep, something very energizing. There are so many different words you could use, but it's something more than just another essential oil or just another resin. Do you think that's why frankincense has been mentioned so often in historical and mystical texts like the Bible?
Yes, because of its sacred use. Now, if we look at essential oils, everyone talks about frankincense as the king of essential oils. It's what it does. We have roses. Roses resonate at a different frequency. Spikenard, you've got cinnamon, you've got so many other incenses. You've got myrrh as well, camphor, copal, Palo Santo. These are incenses all around the world which are very sacred to shamans, indigenous tribes, and all of these tribes around the world. No matter what the incense, they actually use it to connect with God or the gods. There is a book that I had recently read, Food for the Gods, and it talks about frankincense in there quite a lot as a sacrifice and an offering. But there is an ancient myth, and I will share this with you because not many people know about this. But the actual frankincense tree, some people some locals in Oman, they will say the original growing of this tree came from the jinn world, the spirit realm, and they planted this tree into our world as a gift for the human species. It's an interesting myth. I'm not sure if it can be proven or not, but in my work and everything that the knowledge I've accumulated and understand now, it makes sense because the actual tree, it grows from a rock, and you don't get many trees growing from a rock. Most trees grow from soil, which can be watered, and the seed will grow. But frankincense actually comes from grows out of rock. The rock will crack, and it's very interesting how it grows in very arid lands.
Well, how does that work then? How can it grow out of a rock?
I know.
That's pretty extraordinary.
There's pictures and so much. Yeah, it's very interesting how that happens. And some of the reasons I've heard is because it's the jinn world that actually planted these trees originally back in time.
So not only is it this massively wonderful healing plant, but it also is otherworldly, and that's maybe what people are tuning into over the millennia. It's something really quite special. And do you think that then that probably in the Bible is why frankincense was mentioned as a gift for the baby Jesus, because it was a way of connecting to God?
Yeah, I mean, my analogy of why it was given to baby Jesus after working with frankincense and myrrh together is when you burn frankincense and myrrh together, it creates a feeling of equilibrium. It calms one, it makes one become centralized, more focused, more zen. It also really heals the heart. Now, when we have emotions and traumas, we carry the memory of this trauma is attached to the heart, and we remember them. And when we remember these old traumas, sometimes we still feel that pain. But the best way to release this, you can remember a trauma. If you're carrying the pain, it will still make you sad. So what the frankincense and myrrh does, it releases the memory from the heart. And that's done through the combination of the two resins, which energetically create a feeling and a release. So I've witnessed people cry with the smell of frankincense and myrrh. And crying is one of the first signs of allowing to release the suffering that's attached to the heart. Now, if we look at what Jesus' message to the entire world was, the message of love. How can one love another when one doesn't love themselves? Another message of Jesus was love your neighbor as yourself. So loving yourself, there has to be, it's not easier to say, oh, well, I love myself. I'm wonderful and this is great. It's feeling the love within you before you can love others. It's feeling the love within yourself before you can love God. And you cannot love God if you cannot love yourself, because you are the creation of God. So the three wise men, the Magi, they gave these gifts as as symbolic as it is, to, I believe, assist his message to the world, that Jesus came with a message of love, love thy neighbor, peace. But yet the gifts were symbolic, saying, look, people, here are the gifts. And the gold, it's very symbolic as well as spiritual benefits in gold. But as a commodity, it has, it's a monetary value. It has, gold is like a real currency that was used many, many years ago. Now we have paper currency based on the value of gold in the bank. So gold is still very significant because it's used, but we are using paper currency because the gold in the bank is stored there, and the money which is being printed is based on the amount of gold in the bank, apparently.
Yes, so they say. Yeah, it's great to hear your analysis, your thoughts about what the story truly signifies, because we were all taught the story of the three wise men, the three magi coming to see the baby Jesus and bringing gold and frankincense and myrrh, but nobody ever explained to us what that meant. Nobody ever explains.
I was waiting for an explanation from the priests that come here. They just said they were sacred gifts, and there wasn't enough of an answer. So I had to really discover and find out why it was given. And I started to realize why when people started to cry. I said, why is everybody crying? It's the emotions in the heart.
And you reckon that's, purely the combination of frankincense and myrrh being burnt together?
Purely and only. It's such a wonderful blend. But it's also knowing which type, for us, because we have so many types of frankincense, we've also discovered which actual frankincense type resonates equally with the myrrh we have. So it's not just any myrrh and frankincense, it's really going into it. And it's the alchemy of working with these resins.
Well, it is alchemy, yeah. It's absolutely alchemy, because we're affecting transformation, and it's working with nature rather than against nature. The other interesting thing about frankincense and myrrh being resins is that although we're harvesting from nature, we're not actually killing anything. We're not killing a plant to extract its life force.
It'd be very foolish of one to say that they're killing the tree, especially those that survive with the income from these trees, the Bedouins, the tribes. This is their livelihood. They love these trees. It's their responsibility to look after them. However, there is, with the demand of some of America's hugest companies, with the oil production, there is now some threat of extinction in countries such as Somalia, Ethiopia, because of the perfume industry, the essential oils industry, the mass use of the Catholic Church. So, but however, these are issues which are currently being looked into, and organizations are being created to resolve this and monitor the actual trade itself.
So that would be a great shame if some of these species became extinct. Is it just purely a natural issue, or is it being too greedy?
The greed, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
because in some of the countries, Oman is totally fine. The locals, they really, they take great pride in their trees and look after them. That's, it explains why it's one of the finest qualities. But countries such as
Yeah.
Somalia, where large companies are giving money to tribal leaders, and then there's other tribes that have to share that wealth with, and there's issues of, over harvesting
Yeah.
very quickly, and then not allowing the tree to repair itself. The tree needs to repair itself every year,
Yeah.
heal itself rather. And from one tapping to the next tapping, there shouldn't be tappings in between. But that's what it looks like, what's happening. And it's not giving time for the trees to heal. They're just being over harvested. And it's having a knock on effect to the farmers. It's just all about delivering, delivering, and delivering. But, these companies have a huge responsibility to put back into these communities.
Yes, absolutely. It's like biting the hand that feeds you, really, isn't it? If you do too much
Yeah.
harvesting and you ruin your crop as a result. Not that
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that many of the farmers, or can you call them farmers, in Oman have that notion of it being their crop. I get the feeling that it's much more a sort of a symbiotic relationship almost.
It is. I mean, the Omani people in Salalah, they love their trees. They consume most of it in Oman. The sheikhs take all the best bags. When I went there, tried to buy large amounts, everyone gets funny. They don't want to sell you frankincense, but they want to sell you frankincense.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Um, it's very strange. But here in London, just to give you an example of the trade compared from Somalia to Oman,
Yeah.
every 2-3 days, I would have a native Somalian person trying to sell me frankincense every other
Wow.
2-3 days. But in 10 years, 11 years of doing this business, I think only one Omani person contacted me. So it just shows, those who are actually really pushing that, trying to get it out there. I mean, Oman is the people there, they're taken care of. It's a good country. So is Somalia, with that respect. But everybody who'll go past the shop, they'll say, "Oh, my uncle owns the land." Everyone has the same story. Their parents own the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a repeat story I've heard so many times,
Yeah.
and this is a problem as well. The amount of people that come in to sell the goods. It just goes to show that there's too many traders in Somalia.
And you can't really judge anybody for wanting to make a living, of course.
No, of course not. But there's those that are making a living and are actually in the business.
Yeah.
And those that smell it and say, this is from my country. Who buys this? And, who do you sell this to? And I said, well, hold on. Don't be so narrow-minded. The world, products of the world are for everybody.
Yeah.
Why do you eat carrots? They grow here.
Yeah.
So this, it's just, I think it's cultural understanding. I have witnessed people from other countries. They get very surprised when I say 80% of my customers are British, UK, Europe, America. They go, really? So what do they use it for? The same as what you use it for,
Yes, it
it's
is
all for the same
interesting, isn't it?
reason.
Yeah.
To heal ourselves, to get rid of negative energy, for medicine. There's no difference.
No, absolutely. Well, who'd have thought that the world of frankincense was such a massive subject? But you've been studying it for however many years. How many? What? Well, I know you've had your business for a good 10 years.
10 years. Well, it's been since the business started. It's been 11 years now. So the study started from that beginning time. But I keep learning more and more, and it's overwhelming. I can never stop. I can't stop. It's just too much and so much to share, and we're getting there. We're kind of in the process now to collate all this information and rewrite it in simple English terms for the general people to understand it. And this is our job to do this now. I've read many books. I've seen books. Sometimes you kind of feel the energy that why these books have been written. A lot of them are funded by very rich Arab locals. And what you happen to see in these books is a lot of favoritism about names are given, whereas we don't favor anybody. We talk about frankincense, and it's only about frankincense. And I think it gives us a position to write the entire history of frankincense and bring it out there again. But it really is a wonderful. It just excites me every time. And everybody else that experiences it. It's never failed a single person, myself. And during these times, in a pandemic where we're seeing lots of businesses very sadly failing because of what's going on, we seem to be stable here. It
Yeah,
seems to be just stable, like it's just going because the service has to continue.
yes.
And it's like, it's not even myself, it's as if frankincense knows what the people need in this time. And one of the biggest things we are hearing is we're feeling anxious and sad. And frankincense is one of the best tools to help remove this concept from the mind and heart.
Well, I love that. And I'm excited to read more when you've got more information written down and out into the public domain. And I've absolutely loved hearing more about frankincense, this incredible gift
Uh-huh.
that we have that we're able to benefit from. And Shabazz, you're always so enthusiastic, and it's lovely to hear you talking about it because I know that your knowledge and your love is very deep.
Yeah.
So thank you very much again. And thank you for shedding some light on the Christmas story for us as well. That's just fantastic.
Thank you. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to you, to all the listeners. And
Thank
just
you.
remember, we must, with Christmas and lockdowns, and we don't know what's going to happen next year, let's just bring back that tradition of what Christmas was truly about. And there wasn't much happening on the birth of baby Jesus, but our Christmas is, I think we should bring back some humbleness and sacredness to the meaning of Christmas, followed by the Epiphany, which happens in 6th, 7th of January. That shouldn't be forgotten about. It needs to come back because we are entering a new world. We're entering the age of Aquarius now. And I fear that all traditions and celebrations of all religions are slowly going to be fading away. But, for those who hold on to believe in their faiths, I would say, keep some traditions alive. And if that's frankincense and myrrh at Christmas Day, then so be it, because we know that, it brings a lot of peace, tranquility, and love into the hearts. And what a better way to celebrate Christmas Day.
Thank you, Shabazz. And that if people want to learn more, they can go to your website.
Yes, they can visit us online, which is www.thefrankincencestore.com. And on there, you will find a link to the newsletters where every now and then I'll share some interesting information. And we do online webinars, and they're free just to share the message and people to connect and, just listen to some positive words of wisdom to reconnect people again and put them back on the right path. That's all. And we have the shop where everybody is welcome to come and experience frankincense. There's always somebody here. Our staff are just, great to really give you that experience.